Hey, what's up, guys? It is Dan from FightWave, and today I'm joined by somebody I'm very excited to speak with, fighting on the Contender Series very soon, 7-1 as a professional, and somebody who I think is probably one of the most desirable American prospects on the regional scene right now. Doesn't get enough credit for what he's accomplished thus far on the regional scene. I really think he's going to make a name for himself as a young talent in this sport. I'm joined by Marquel Mederos today. Dallas native, fighting in Factory X in Colorado, X on the chest, but repping the 213. How we doing today, Marquel?
Good, my man. X literally on the chest.
X literally on the chest. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. Obviously, right now, you're training for the Contender Series. Talk to me about how you're doing, how everything's been in preparation for this fight, which is arguably the biggest fight of your career thus far.
I think preparation, I think it doesn't change. I think sometimes people put too much emphasis on the fight and not the training. I feel at Factory X, we stay consistent. There's not really camps at Factory X. I think camps is more of a game plan thing, but I think for the most part, I know for the most part, we all stay in the gym. So, and as far as how I've been feeling great. Just waking up every day, getting prepared, just skill building. I think that's been the biggest thing, is building skills rather than coming to the gym and putting in hours or just working my body, but building skills every day.
Absolutely, and I think I speak for everyone when I say that Factory X, I think, has been on an absolute tear as of late. I say it all the time over social media. One of the best gyms in the game right now for fighters coming up, and I think that if you're a fighter truly committed to the sport, Factory X is the gym for you. And we see it time and time again. You've got a championship.
And everybody helps one another, which I feel like at most gyms is not the thing. It's a bunch of individuals and groups, and then you have your group. I think that's the biggest thing you're seeing with some of these foreign country teams, is that they're actually a team. Americans is very individualized, and it's like, oh, I work with this guy for boxing, I work with this guy, which is good for some people, but like I said, I don't know any different. I think another thing too is that at Factory X, I don't know why we do not get enough credit. Like if you look at some of the top guys, Brandon Royval, you got Dustin Jacoby, like we have dudes in the UFC on the top level, finishing guys, putting in work, but for some reason, since we're not an ATT or AK, we're not getting that same name call.
No, yeah, definitely. I agree, especially, the Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby, I said for like the longest time, this guy's on like a 7-8 fight unbeaten streak, and he's getting like fighting behind him the whole time. Then he went on a 2-fight losing skid because of it, and then he came back in emphatic fashion and reminded people this guy deserves to fight up. I think it goes without saying the gym doesn't get enough credit for what it's accomplished. Even Brandon Royval, the fact that people are talking about him possibly not being in the title picture after a phenomenal performance, it's crazy. It's like literally insane. But more importantly, I think it's a testament to Coach Mark Montoya and what he's built. Really working in silence. More importantly, the gym, you don't let that deter you whatsoever. Just keep working, keep building, and letting the resume speak for itself. Truly an undeniable position. And I think in part that's why the gym, like you mentioned, is so, prosperous and flourishing at such a high rate right now, is because everyone is there for each other, whether it's just on an emotional level or like a training level, or it's just, being there for each other as friends and as teammates. I always like to see when Yusuf Zalal or Dustin Jacoby, after a hard day of training, they're sitting on the mats playing a few games of chess. I know you're a big chess fanatic. Just being able to decompress, what's it been like just to be around these guys and gather a sense of perspective from them? Because like you said, while this is the main gym that you've been at your career thus far, the only gym, what's it just been like to be around these guys and gather perspective from them through their careers?
It's a couple things. I think when I first started, obviously we have a totally new group now. When I first started, it was just, it still is, but soaking everything up. Not necessarily asking guys, but watching from a distance and learning with intent. I think you can learn a lot just by listening and paying attention, not necessarily having to ask somebody straightforward. But if you pay attention enough, you can learn what somebody else does to be great. Because everybody has their own individual thing, right? Like if you ask me why is Dustin Jacoby great, I'm going to say he has extreme confidence. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's a great kickboxer, but his mental game is better than anybody I know, right? If you ask me why Brandon Royval is successful, I look at his gas tank and his ability to be good on the feet and on the ground. So you look at these guys and then you take a little bit of what everybody else has and put it in your own, you know what I mean? I feel like sometimes people look too far outside the gym. Like obviously you'll look at a Khabib and be like, oh, he has great wrestling. What is Khabib doing? But there's great people right around you who are more accessible and it's more attainable to pick from their brains and see what they do. I just think we have a great group of guys around us, and I don't know, man. I think a lot of things, but I do know in the next couple of years, Factory X should be a household name. If not the next year, the amount of prospects and the amount of guys we have in the UFC right now is ridiculous.
Absolutely, and I think more importantly, you hit the nail on the head. There's something to be gained from everyone at Factory X, whether it's someone like Alexander Hernandez who just nonstop presses forward, whether it's somebody like Yusuf Zalal who's really technical, really great feints, Brandon Royval with his unique footwork and ability to excel on both the feet and the ground. You mentioned Dustin Jacoby, him being an elite kicker, but also an innate understanding of when to progress forward, when to, really push the pace. There's something to be gained from everyone, and I think it speaks to the mix, like you mentioned, of prospects and a veteran presence on the team, which really helps keep pushing the elevation and standard of the gym, the stature of the gym just higher and higher in our sport. I wanted to ask you just off the rip, if there's any funny moments that stand out to you, or a funny moment just in your time at Factory X that's probably the best above every else. I have to imagine one of those moments might be when it's someone's birthday and everyone just dogpiles them.
Oh yeah. So I mean, that's like a birthday tradition. Is if it's your birthday at Factory X and somebody finds out, you definitely getting slapped the fuck up for sure. But anytime you talk about good moments, you got to bring up Yusuf. I'll give you the craziest moment. The craziest moment. So I might have been 20 at the time. So I maybe was at the gym for a year, and there's this guy we had in the gym, and when any guys go in any new gym, you get tested, right? So this guy's getting tested. I think at the time it was like Brian and Chris Camozzi. Coach was like rotating those two guys on him. He was a big guy. I think he was an 85 or a 205. And the guy's getting pissed because he's getting beat the fuck up. So he gets mad and he slams his gloves and then he walks over to Mark. He was like, I'm pissed. Da, 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 da. And if you ever interview Mark, or if you've ever talked to Mark on a one-on-one, he's like a no-nonsense guy. He's straight to business. So Mark immediately, he grabs his phone out of his pocket, he tosses it to somebody else, and and he's like, "What you want to do?" And he starts like squaring up with him. So the whole gym, we all stopped training, and everybody's looking over. All you see, I think Yusuf's the same age as me, so he was 20 at the time too. All you see Yusuf is his little tiny ass, and like he maybe was like 145, 150 at the time. He walks up to the 85er, he's like, "What's happening? What the fuck you want to do? You're trying to fight my coach?" And he swings at him. But when he swings at him, the dude dips and he hits the wall and he breaks his hand. It was just I don't know, you had to be there to like see it, but yeah, man, that was probably the craziest thing I ever saw at the gym.
I mean, Yusuf Zalal, in my opinion, his energy is absolutely infectious. The guy is a comedian. He's a great martial artist, great human being. Just a great guy. And I mean, it speaks to the pedigree of talent at the gym and the way that you guys kind of build your lifestyles around each other. I always like to see, when fighters are outside of the gym, just networking, hanging out, and having a good time. I know Vanessa Demopoulos came through a while back and was just training there a little bit. Just hanging out with people, and then even you guys, going to fight nights or going to events together and just being around each other. It's a really nice environment. But more importantly, I want to ask, because I know you're a big basketball fanatic and you're a Mavericks fan, and I at least I think so. You're from the 213. I gotta make sure you are a Mavericks fan. 214. Are you a Mavericks fan? Yes or no?
If I had to pick a team, yeah, it'd be the Mavericks.
All right,
for sure.
I just gotta make sure that I gotta ask, because me and Brandon Royval were going at it when the Suns were facing the Nuggets in 2021. Suns in 4, I kept telling him, and now let's come back to bite me in the ass. I gotta ask, is there any kind of basketball back and forth banter going on in the gym? Because I know you're a hoops fanatic yourself.
Man, not really, man. If we talk shit, it's usually about fighting, and then we'll just fight each other, but not too much about that. I think the biggest arguments probably me, Dustin, Yusuf playing chess. But besides that, nah. Most of the guys at our gym don't care too much about sports outside of MMA, for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it's just interesting to see, because I know a lot of other fighters. They're like, oh, big into football, or like they'll have their football rivalries or a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, that's phenomenal. And then obviously the chess, it speaks for itself. You know, the chess interest at Factory X. I don't think I've seen another gym get into chess as heavily as Factory X. What's that usually like after a hard day of training, just being able to sit back and, test each other's minds on the boards?
Nah, chess is cool. I mean, it's just something that I think I like it because it takes you 100% focus on something, right? I mean, if you're not focused on chess, it's kind of like fighting because if you mess up on one move, it's over. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Chess is cool, man. I love it. I love it for sure.
No, yeah,
You play
definitely.
any chess?
Oh yeah, I play chess. I just got into it last year, so I've been learning a little bit, picking up some details, and yeah, I've just been playing like maybe 1 or 2 games a day since. Just
I might have to put it on you, bro. You're gonna have to give me your name after
maybe
this.
absolutely. I might have to like after this interview, just put a clip of us playing a quick game of chess for the fans who are interested, and then we see who reigns supreme. But more importantly, I think it's a great thing for mindset, and I think really with you, and Yusuf, we see that young mind. You're only 26 years of age, which at your age, the wealth of experience that you have, especially for someone from the States, it's honestly amazing because I feel like a lot of people in the States, when they fight, they don't really put as much weight on the amateur circuit. Really, they just kind of like fight and don't kind of regard it. But I feel like you took your time to find your rhythm a little bit and, see where your strengths lied and where your strengths didn't lie and improve there. And we've seen that success kind of show in your pro career because you're only 7-1 with only one loss going into the Contender Series at a young age. Talk to me just about the influx of experience that you have for your age and what it's meant for you to really be able to find your rhythm through having as many fights as you have so early on.
Uh, it's a couple things. Obviously, I got to give credit to Mark. Mark has a system in place. I mean, he knows when he sees a good fighter, but he also knows when the skill doesn't match the talent, if that makes sense. Because you have a lot of talented people, we have a lot of athletic people, but if your skill's not there, he's not going to progress you any further than he feels like you need to be. Also, I think another thing affected your amateur career, he's going to give you the hardest fights. I had actually in my amateur career, one of my hardest fights was with my main training partner, Jacoby Jones, and that's how he got to Factory X. Um, yeah, and that was even a blessing in itself right there because our games complement each other. He's like ultimate wrestler. I'm a striker, you know what I mean? And ever since then, he's helped my wrestling tenfold, and I'm pretty sure I've helped his striking, you know what I mean? But as far as experience, I think most of that, honestly, it comes from the gym because to do it during game time, yes, but I feel like that's more a mental thing. But your experience comes with your training in the gym. If you're not sweating and bleeding in the gym, then when you get to the fight, you're gonna get smashed. I don't think anybody who's lived a comfortable practice life has had a great career. You know what I mean? Um, and yeah, I also think being able to teach some of the younger guys. I mean, I'm a young guy, but as far as while I'm in the sport, teach some of the guys who are under me and being able to guide them, it helps me as well. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, definitely. And I love what you mentioned with Jacoby. I mean, Jacoby's a phenomenal fighter in and of his own right. And seeing, kind of just pushing yourself and pushing yourself beyond your limits. It goes back to, I think, just even like college basketball. Coach Calipari at Kentucky, some of the guys coming into the NBA, they're like, the college basketball for us was more difficult than the NBA because the preparation was so intense and like gruesome that it molded us into the fighters or players that we are today, kind of drawing a parallel there. And I think we really see that with a good gym. What truly makes a good gym is how far you're pushed in the training room, because if you're, like you mentioned, if you're not pushed to your limits, you'll never know what your limits are in a fight, and you'll break much more quickly than if you were to be pushed in a training session. So that's really what interests me about the gym and just about, you as a talent and as a prospect, because you've put on some phenomenal performances, I have to say. And more importantly, you're one of the fighters on the regional scene that I think truly deserve that call up to the Contender or to the UFC. And I think that you in the 155 division is another welcome addition. So I want to ask you, just in terms of seeing yourself or foreseeing yourself, should you get the contract from the Contender Series, how do you kind of project yourself in this 155-pound division in terms of just seeing yourself and how you match up against other guys?
I don't know. I talk about this all the time, right? It's weird because a lot of people in 155 they don't stick. Like in 155, there's so many good fighters that they get rotated in and out. I think I think especially in my early fights, I think I expose a lot of dudes. I think it gets more difficult when you get to the top, but not even really, because most of those guys get one dimensional. They get great at one thing. Like if you watch Dustin Poirier, you know he's gonna box. You know what I mean? You watch a Arman Sarukian, you know he's gonna wrestle. So how I fit into it, I think the well roundedness. I think uh, being able to wrestle and strike, and then my speed, especially for 155, it'll be a big difference that a lot of people aren't used to seeing. So, and my foot, a lot of things, my footwork, my speed, my mental IQ. There's a lot of things that go into it, but I do think when I get to the UFC after this contract, there's gonna be a lot of stuff to be shown for sure.
Absolutely, and I think I speak for everyone when I say that this is the fight on the Contender Series that a lot of people are going to look forward to. It's two game prospects, probably the best fight of the night on that card and on that Contender Series. We know that it's two 155ers who are coming to bring it. Everything's going to be left on the line, and I think I speak for everyone when I say that. But more importantly, I want to ask you, just in terms of personal goals, obviously not looking past the Contender Series, I always think fighters kind of sometimes forget about just enjoying the moments and the rewards of what the sport has brought to them, whether it's people, whether it's just circumstances, whether it's just an environment. I wanted to ask you, just in terms of non-fighting related goals, we're obviously 3 months away from 2023 coming to a close. What are some personal goals that you have as a person, as Marquel Mederos, more importantly, not the fighter, but the human being?
Um, I think just being consistent in all areas of life, man. I think that's something that if you're consistent, everything falls into place. When you lack consistency, it's typically because you lack discipline and everything else. There's a lot of stuff that goes with it, but I think that being disciplined and finding consistency in everything I do, that's the biggest thing. And then I think from that everything falls into place. Because if you lack consistency, all right, this is something that I wrote in my little book the other day. What is it? What did I say? I said emotions cloud consistency. So if I wake up one day and I don't feel like doing something, my feelings will stray me away from uh doing what I need to do. But if I'm disciplined and I'm consistent, I mean there's nothing that can really stop you. I think I think people don't understand that nowadays because it's so much instant gratification that if it doesn't come now, the consistency will not be there. But through time and being consistent and disciplined, everything happens. You can't let emotion cloud consistency.
Absolutely. I think that's a beautiful saying and a beautiful note just to keep the viewers wondering and thinking about something. So I wanted to thank you very much for your time, Markel. Just an honor to sit here, speak with you, pick your brain a little bit, and get to learn a little bit more about yourself. And I look forward to watching you compete on the Contender Series. Fingers crossed that it all goes well. You get that W, you get that contract. I know a lot of fans, Marquel Mederos, this isn't the first time, this isn't the last time we're going to hear of you because you're just a very amazing prospect from the States. I know a lot of people are going to be excited to watch you moving forward. So after this fight, thank you so much for your time. To the fans at home watching, do be sure to check out Marquel Mederos on social media. I always like to say, get behind the fighters a little bit. Show them support, show them some love. You never know whether they're going to become your favorite fighter or not. So more importantly, check him out on social media. Don't be sure to don't miss his fight on the Contender Series. It's going to be a phenomenal fight on both ends.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy. It's going to be one of the best fights of the season, I think. So don't be sure to miss that one. That's a fight you cannot miss. I will emphasize it again. Cannot miss the fight. It's been me, Dan, from FightWave, guys. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this interview. Do be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day, guys.